once again, this time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Good evening, Dave. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. Been a busy day, a lot of meetings, but glad to be here. Always on Mama Said.
Oh yeah. Uh, yeah. Well, you know, mamas have told us so much over the years, and for those of us that have lost them, we miss the sound of their voice. Mm. Mama had a hard job keeping us straight. But we are here on Monday night. We're glad all you people out there from for the Southern Fried Podcast fans and everybody out there in Cornbread Nation. We are glad you are here. Dave's working on getting us a guest up here this evening, and looks like we're getting there pretty quick. So bear with, and we are here. And welcome to the show, everybody. Y'all like, follow, subscribe if you want to. Oh, glad to have you. You subscribe, jump in over on our Facebook Cornbread Nation page. We've got a whole page set up just for Cornbread Nation. Come join the breadheads. We'd love to have you. So, uh, now it looks like Michael was in here, then he left. You better get back in here. I told him hi. I tried anyway.
Welcome to the folks in Instagram. Appreciate you coming in. I'm going to click you guys a link to our Discord channel if you'd like to get into chat there as well.
Yes.
And I'm working on Travis is in. Okay, he made it in. Give him just a second. Let me get this good, cool beans there. And let me paste this into Instagram, and then we'll welcome our guest up when he gets 1 second.
All right.
We're
Well,
trying to do about 10 things at once.
yeah, that's always fun. It's like,
So,
where do we go next? What do I do? What do I do?
yeah. Well, we do have Travis Middleton, who has come into the show. I don't know if he's going to show his picture, but that's fine. Let's pull him up and see if we can get him, get his audio. We'll talk about runoff. Yes, Walker County School Board candidate. He's got that in there. He has already aced getting name and what's going on. Travis, can you hear us?
Yes. Hang on 1 second. Let me. I got to put you on mute for 1 second. I'm trying to get my earbuds to work.
You're fine, brother. Just let us know when you're ready.
I will. I'll come back on.
All right, brother.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're going to talk Walker County School Board. There's a runoff going on, and I tried to get the opponent, and we got no response. And people said, "Talk to Travis; he'll come on." So here he is. So we'll be talking to him in just a minute. I told you, Rob, if they won't come to us, we'll always find a way. They'll be knocking on the door. Give us a year. They'll be knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Hello, Michael. Hello, all.
Did Michael make it back in? I told him hi a while ago. I don't know if it went to him or not. Afraid I hurt his feelings.
Well, I'm not sure. He may still be hanging around out there. They may just be lurking, that lurking name. So yeah, lurking around. We'll start seeing this thing fill up in a minute. There he is. Hey.
Aria Rizzo, thank you for the follow. That just popped up on my screen there. We do appreciate it. We appreciate all of our follows and our likes and our subscribes. That helps us out, lets us know we're reaching out to people, and that means a lot to us. We don't do this for the follows, but it lets us know that we're actually touching people's lives, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah,
and
we went in. There's Travis.
Yes,
I'm here, boys.
All
Hey,
right.
Travis, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Y'all doing okay? Sorry, I can't get my earbuds to work, so I'm setting them down so that you guys.
Sometimes,
Is that light too bright in the background?
no, you're
There we
good.
go.
You're
You're
good.
That may be
absolutely
better.
good. Hey, we
You
appreciate you
are
coming
fine.
on. We we highlight. We've brought on several folks that are currently in office or running for office from all across the state, and we'll bring them in from anywhere across the United States. We're good with it. We like interviewing small
Yes.
business. Thanks for being on the Southern Fried Podcast. We've been around since Memorial Day, been growing a lot, and just networking with a lot of people locally in my area, which is Catoosa Walker, and then Robert lives down in what is that, Miller, Colquitt? What is
Miller County. The name of the city is Colquitt. It's
yeah.
Miller, Seminole, Early, Decatur.
So we're kind of
We're
we're
not
all
there.
over, but you know where folks are watching from. But we do have a strong local following in both areas. So several hundred, if not a few thousand, really. So tell us a little bit about now. Of course, I'm very involved with elections. Just a little bit about we're both, Christian conservatives. We both vote. I'm also a poll worker in Catoosa County, so I work the election at my precinct as an assistant manager. I keep up as much as I can with Walker County because, well, I work in Walker and my church is in Walker County. And I have a lady in my church, she helps on election day. So I try, and being so close, I try to keep up with what's going on. So apparently, was there, I guess, at least three of you that were running for this school board spot, and then now you're in a runoff with your opponent, or am I wrong on that?
No, no, no. Actually there was four of us on running for this single school board spot that to replace Mike Caruth, who had been on the school board for right at 20 years, and so this is an
Wow.
off-cycle special election. Mike Caruth, I can't say enough good things about Mike Caruth. He's a great man, but he decided that it was time for him to step away. Had some health issues, and so this is an off cycle again special election, and so there'll be another election in 2 years. And so there was an appointee, Tina Painter, who got appointed about 8 weeks ago, about 2 months ago. There was I guess the school board interviewed 9 of us for the appointment, and so ended up Tina Painter got appointed, myself, Bill Oliver, and Rita Grow. Those two ran as well, and so I was fortunate enough to get in the runoff with Tina Painter due to the Walker County citizen support, and I was the nobody got no one received 50 plus one votes this election. So there's a runoff. The runoff is December 3rd, and yeah, it's myself, and Tina. We will see what happens then. So
Sure.
yes, that's kind of what the in a nutshell, if you will.
Yeah. So have you ever ran for any other position, or is this the first time?
And I've never ran for anything. I've been I'm learning on the fly, right? And so one of the things I am not is a politician or political. So I'm just kind of brutally honest, and unfortunately that's good for me and that's bad for me, right? But that's the only way I know to be is honest, and so brutally honest, and so that's just the way I am, unfortunately.
Amen.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, especially on the school board. I mean, you're dealing with children, children's lives, and brutally honest is the best policy at that point.
Yeah, and I've been involved. So I have a daughter who's 26. She she doesn't live with us anymore. She's out on her own, and which is good for her, or great for her, I should say. She's grown up. She's an adult. She's out doing her thing, making her own decisions, and that's what you want to see. Now, I think we can all agree we're never going to agree with all of our kids' decisions, right? And I feel like I've been told this, that the older our kids get, the smarter we become as parents, right? And so my daughter's 26, Cortland, and my son, my two boys, my oldest son, Connor is 22, and then my youngest son, Carson, is 19. And Connor works up at McLemore, the golf course on Lookout Mountain, and then Carson just started working the Tuesday after he graduated high school with Adman Electric, and so
Okay.
I've got, and my daughter cuts hair, so I've got 3 tradesmen, and we're proud of that they'll always be employed, right? And so that's it's pretty awesome to watch them grow up and to make their own decisions, and they make their own decisions and they learn from the consequences, right? So it's good and bad.
Yeah, that's one of the best lessons you can learn when you get out there and you make your own mistakes, and then you have to learn you have to deal with the consequences. You can learn a lesson quick.
Absolutely. I think we've all learned from our mistakes more, probably the more mistakes we've made as we've grown up, the better off we become as citizens and as parents and as adults and human beings.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Travis, we've said on here many times, and as we was leading up to the election, and of course, a lot of people, and we're excited to see how many people voted across the United States. But and it's just I don't these fall sometimes at different times, sometimes on the off years from a presidential election, and unfortunately, sometimes those numbers really fall off. But people really, I mean, this is where it's in your community right here, school board. I mean, this is tremendously important, not just voting on state senators and presidents and governors, but right down here where you live. And I guess I would ask, why did you want to run, and what do you see that you can bring to the school board if you were chosen by the voters to be the school board candidate here?
So for the last 20 years or so, I've been involved in youth sports recreation. So when Chattanooga Valley had the ball fields, I live. I don't know, David, if you're familiar, but I live right by Chattanooga Valley Middle School, old
Okay.
Chattanooga Valley High School. I live right at the foot of the mountain, so I have to pass those ball fields going and coming. But saying that, for the last 20 years, I've been involved with the rec sports from cutting the grass, being the rec league president, and then I got out of it, and then I ended up getting back in it because I wanted to, just like, and I'm equating that to the school, running for school board. I want to see positive change in our kids, and so
Yeah.
I ran this recreation. I'm running for school board because I want to see positive change in our kids, and so as my kids have come up and through, and my kids that my I've had kids in Walker County schools the last 21 years, and so this year is the very first year that I don't have a child in Walker County schools, and so I just wanted to stay involved, right? And so the last 8 years I've had kids at Ridgeland High School, and so seeing that my boys and watching them play sports and this and that, I've seen the good, the high, the ebb and the flow of what I want to see change, right? And
Mhm.
so I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I just feel like that there's things that I can bring to the table that can we can make positive change. And so saying that, my background, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an educator. I'm just a lowly old factory worker that
Me too.
yes. I've worked my way up from basically the floor to a pretty good job. I mean, we don't get hung up in who's the manager and who's the boss. Obviously we do, everybody has a boss, but the good thing about the company I work for is our leaders, everybody's called a leader, right? And so we don't get caught up in who's the manager and who's this and who's that. We all take responsibility every day for making the right decisions for the company. And so I want to see that, our teachers or our stakeholders, they see things every day. And just like me running for school board, I've seen these things. And so I want to be a voice for the kids first and foremost, for the teachers, absolutely, but also for the stakeholders, and which being is our community members and taxpayers. And so uh, we we all need to have a voice. Obviously, I wish there was more parents that wanted their voice to be heard and get involved with their child in their school. But I'm decided that what's best for me is to step up and to become that leader in my community and represent this District 3 to let the parents know and the stakeholders know that yes, I'm going to be your voice, and yes, I'm going to do everything I can. But we've got to get our kids back on track. And I think the COVID years has really hurt our kids and set us back. I think that you know or I don't think it. I see it every day that this COVID thing, it really hurt our kids, and so we need to dig back in, if you will, and do the best we can to get our kids going in the right direction.
And it seems
Amen.
like it kind of moved us backwards some. Now they got to play catch up.
Yes, yes, and so there's no doubt about that. We're truly behind.
Yeah, and you mentioned working around Ridgeland. I had grandchildren in Ridgeland. Actually had one of mine that did some cheer over there for the basketball through the rec and all that. So feel very connected to that. And I feel like I know you. I think I've met you
Yeah,
before.
probably so.
I've worked there at with Synthetic and now Shaw for over 30 years. So I just feel like we crossed paths somewhere in and around as I went through the community, but maybe not. But your name just seems very familiar. But we definitely see issues with schools nowadays. There's so many things that they're impacted by, and there's so many people struggling and the home life and stuff. And so you can have a real strong impact on youth, and just by the encouragement of helping them along and letting them know that things are going to get better. Work hard, that work ethic you're talking about, and to be a role model there, be an example. And I was shocked at how many people. I don't know about Walker County, but in Catoosa, I was shocked at how many children are going to school online in the same. I mean, they're in the school system, but they stay at home and go online through that. It's quite a bit. I don't know if it's the same in Walker, but they're still active in the school system, but they're not going to the physical building. They go from home. But and I don't have no totals or anything for the schools. Some schools are overcrowded, some schools are not. But we're pretty blessed in North Georgia with the money that's been available to pour into facilities, new schools and get those things up to speed. So that's not been as bad as it has been in some areas. Although I know that there's still a lot of needs out there. But we applaud you for me and Rob applaud you for. We've always said, Rob, to be a good citizen, to step up and see what I think we've tried to do that. Just see what we can do to help, to be a blessing in some way to help people along the way. I've served on some committees. I'm trying to be more involved all the time, and just seeing that impact. I got to go to the Chattanooga Food Bank the last Thursday and just see their facilities, and I didn't realize how much they're impacting North Georgia. For all the way down to, I think it's Chattooga County. So just things you don't know that's going on, and such a need there. But so during the campaign, I was.
Hang on one second, David.
go
Let
ahead.
me, before you ask something else. It's funny you say
Go ahead.
Synthetic, but so in 1997, I started my journey at Synthetic, and then when we got bought out, and you'll remember this, it became Shaw, but I ended up moving over with Propex.
Okay.
So I've been with Propex and / Synthetic for the last 27 years. So I've probably we know probably 1,000 of the same folks.
Yeah.
And we could probably have our own podcast about Synthetic at some point. So
Yeah,
I had a
I could
great
join in
uncle.
with that too.
Yes, I had a great uncle that was the third or fourth employee of Synthetic. His name was Alan Middleton, and he retired in February of '97, and I went to work there in August of '97. And you'll know this guy, Johnny Perry.
Oh yeah.
Johnny Perry used to always say, the only reason they still keep you is your last name's Middleton. And so that was my saving grace, my Uncle Alan, for a long time anyway. So
That's awesome. And Michael here in the chat, he is a former Synthetic employee. Michael 61, you see on the screen there. He's an old weaving guy. So
I was in FAR A. Yes, I started out in FAR A. So there you are.
Did you used to do like T-shirts and stuff or things?
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
That's what I
Winning the
thought.
game, baby. Winning the
Winning-
game.
It's a small world.
Yes, sir. Winning the game. I won that game. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
Well, you've
that was-
always, I mean, what I can say is without, we're not close, but I know of you and you were working. I mean, you've always been
Yeah.
working. You've always worked
that's
hard
right.
and dug in. And I can say that because I've heard your name brought up a lot by people, and I think that's where I remembered it is just people mentioning you because I was on the other
Yeah.
side of the plant from Far A. I was in finishing for all those
There
years.
you
So,
are.
but I'm pretty sure I saw you a couple of times and Rob was over there. He's no Geo guy,
Yeah. So, well, and it's fun. This is how it is. So, Lewis Vaughn still
Yeah.
works at Propex, and Billy Thompson, he just retired maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 weeks ago, but I know we didn't, we're off track. But yeah, there's so many guys that we all know, and Billy,
Oh yeah.
I guess Billy had 42 years. I
Wow.
got 27, so Billy retired at 42 years, and he's probably one of the hardest working guys. Maybe nobody's watching this when I'm bragging on Billy, but he's probably one of the hardest working guys and a great mentor. Him and Larry Gregory, of all people.
Oh
I don't know if
yeah,
you
Oh,
remember.
I worked for
and
every
Larry-
one of those guys.
Yeah, and
I
of course,
remember. I do remember a story on Larry Gregory and Billy Thompson.
let's hear it.
I was working at Geo,
Yep.
and it was Christmas time, and Billy had pulled his Jeep around back, and Larry Gregory came up. He says, Billy was awfully concerned that somebody would mess with his Jeep today, being that it's Christmas and they might decorate it or something. So he pulled it around back. Here's the keys.
That
Man, we
sounds
filled that thing, that Jeep up with peanuts, wrapped it in film wrap and everything else. And he said he came out and just went, I'm going to kill you, Larry.
that's exactly right. But Larry Gregory was probably the best, hardest, and firmest, but truest guy there was, and he's retired now. And Lewis trained Larry, so all of Larry's bad habits came from Lewis. And of course, we still, there's still a bunch of Larry/Lewis sayings that are said at the plant every day, like is this job interfering with your personal life, and if I got to ask them to do it, what I need you for, and all those kinds of things. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on, but I'm telling you, they don't get no better than those three. And I'm fortunate that Lewis is still working because I'm learning from him. The days that he's there, he's on A shift, so he's working right now, and so he'll work the next 2 days and then the weekend. But man,
Yeah,
Lewis is a
Lewis is a mess.
Lewis is a great dude, and he made two great men, and Larry and Billy, because they both worked for him initially. Well, Lewis brought Larry up from LaGrange,
I
so
remember that.
that's right. From they were Milliken, and
Yeah,
so yeah, it was good
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, we got off track there.
That's okay.
Oh, no,
I
we'll
just-
change the rap now.
That's
We
right.
we just validated you as a good old boy. I guess.
Yeah. Well,
I do have a question.
Go
Yes,
ahead,
sir.
Rob.
Please, does Lewis Vaughn still wear those great big high-heeled cowboy boots?
no, he don't.
What?
Lewis he's laid back. He's got on his shorts and his steel toe shoes, and Lewis is he just comes in and gets it done, and yeah, he don't wear
We
no.
used to have-
I've never seen him in cowboy boots. I'm gonna have to ask him that tomorrow now.
Oh, yeah. We used to, over in
Yeah.
finishing, we'd see him in those great big cowboy boots back when he ran finishing. And we all had an inside joke that he wore it to make him 3 inches taller.
Well, he still gets his feelings hurt if you talk about his height.
Oh, we're not. Lewis, we love you. We don't care how
We
tall
do
you
love
are.
Lewis. He was my
Yeah.
first department manager. Yeah,
Yeah.
Billy was my supervisor. Lewis was my first department manager,
Okay.
and those were fun times. They really
Absolutely.
were. And
Well-
so a lot of great memories there. But it's neat to see,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, we're all, have found our way, worked hard, doing things in the community. You said you've been very involved with the rec and, sports and stuff like that. I think that's great. And we wish you well. If there's
Yeah.
anything you want to share about this runoff, please share. That's why we wanted to give you an opportunity just to have people get out and vote. Now, when will they have? Do they have early voting? I guess during the runoff, or is it just
Yes,
election
yes.
day?
So they'll have early voting at the Lafayette courthouse only, and it'll be the week of Thanksgiving. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I want to say I'm not sure of the time. I want to say it's probably whatever courthouse hours are. I want to say probably 7 to 3 or 8 to 4, realistically. But no, you guys, man, you can pepper me with questions. I know we got off track, and Rob, you were fixing to ask something about Walker County, and I'm
Well,
okay with it. I'm not. Listen, I'm not running from anybody. I'll, just like you hit me up at 6:57 and said you could get on there, and I thought I needed to come to some studio, David, and so I just, again, I mean, I'll do this thing every other
hey,
day. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's important that the message is brought out, and
Yeah,
again, I want to see positive change in the school, and I'm running on transparency, accountability, and growth, right? So transparency is a loaded word, and everybody's like, well, all you say is transparency, and what you going to be transparent about? And so what I really want to be transparent about is this right here. So just like we're talking right now, I want to see that our stakeholders, our taxpayers, can see our school board meetings as short as they are, as long as they are. They can view those things in real time, just like we're doing right here. If somebody wants to jump on here and see what we're talking about, I want them to be able to get to the school board meeting. If they can't get to the school board meeting, I want to be able for those guys to get to YouTube or Facebook Live or whatever and see
sure.
what's going on. But then I also want them to see, if they can't get there at 6 o'clock, well, they can watch it at 8 o'clock because it was live streamed like the county commission meetings, those kinds of things, because it's important. Because as a taxpayer, if I can't get to that school board meeting, how do I know what happened? Well, you don't know what happened. You've got to call, your school board representative, and then are they truly going to tell you what's going on? It's just like these. We've had another tax increase, and everybody's wound up, and they have these 3 meetings, which is they're supposed to have 3 meetings. I think it's law that they have to have 3 meetings. I'm not sure, but it's important for all of us to know what's going on and where our money's being spent. And so when you talk about transparency, I'm talking about that. I want to see our folks, our stakeholders, and our taxpayers know what's going on. And then also, this is one that's going to be hard to do because nobody wants to do it. I don't think, and of course, I'm just one vote, right? So, but I think if there's enough pressure, that other folks will be like, yeah, we probably do need to live stream this. This is 2024. This isn't 2004. I mean, where the technology is such, you look at any kid nowadays, and most of them have one of two things, one in each hand, and typically, and I'm not talking high school kids. I was actually talking about more geared towards adults, but a lot of kids in general, what do they have in their hand every time you see them? They got their cell phone in their hand. What are they doing? They're taking pictures because of the Snapchat and all this kind of stuff. I mean,
right.
I can look at my 2 boys, and they're taking pictures of themselves uh, on Snapchat and send or whatever social media. So I think it's important that in 2024, I'm 50 years old, and I don't like this stuff. Hang on one second. Sorry, I've been sick for about 3 days, but I
You're fine,
had to
brother.
put you on mute to cough. But anyway, these kids have these phones in their hand all the time, and so there's no reason why we can't live stream these meetings and let our folks know what's going on. And I think
I agree.
Michael just asked, where's all the money go? Well, if you look at the school system as a whole, about 90% of the budget, there's nothing you can do about because it's based off the state funding, the state monies, because all of our teachers have to be degreed, and so there's that. The benefit package for those teachers, there's a there's a benefit scale that those teachers get paid on from the state. And I'm reading Michael's things. I never
Yeah,
had
you're good.
children paying high school taxes, and I don't think it's right. I love children, but I shouldn't have to pay taxes, especially at 60, 61. But anyway, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, about 90% of the Walker County school system's budget, there's nothing you can do about it. Again, because it has to do with benefits, has to do with salaries. The other 10%, and it's still about $10 million, it can be looked at. But, you know, one of the things, it, it needs to be looked at. We need to look at every avenue we can to cut costs. But it's like everything else, you know, the millage rate, it stayed flat, but it still went up 7%. And so I'm talking in circles, and I apologize. But the 10% of the budget we need to look at, and we need to figure that out. Of that 10%, though, you're paying your hang on one second. Sorry, you're paying your parapros, you're paying your school bus drivers, you're paying your cafeteria workers, you're paying all of those people out of that additional 10%.
You're also paying maintenance on your buses and fuel and stuff too, aren't you?
Sorry, that's exactly right. You're paying all of these costs, and you know, we work in the basically, David, we're in the oil industry because everything we make is, and everything that's costed is based on the price of oil. So
Yeah.
everything that's done is based on the price of oil, and you know, unfortunately, I'm not so certain that we're going to see a reduction in those in oil, while we hope there is in the next 4 years. But as far as in the next 8, 12, 20 years, the cost of living is not going to go down, because it hasn't. You know, whenever I started at Synthetic in 1997, I made $8.88 an hour. I can't imagine making $8.88 an hour now and trying to live. And so it's tough. And so again, the transparency of, if I want to be able to, about every 6 months, basically, I would think I would probably do it at the start of the school year and at the middle of the school year. As far as being transparent, is I would like to meet with the people in District 3 at one of the schools and say, hey guys, here's what's going on in the school system. Here's what is happening with your dollars. Here's where we're making cuts. Here's where we're, you know, unfortunately having to spend more money because, you know, you guys know there's never a day that there isn't some kind of issue, right? So as far as maintenance and repairs, and so that's those things. When you talk about school buses, you talk about tires, you talk about wear and tear, and that's just school buses. And then you talk about buildings, and you talk about, you know, 30-year-old plumbing, or you know, Ridgeland High School is 34 years, 35 years old. And so like a couple of weeks ago, they had a water main leading into the school and right up by the band room, and they had a busted pipe, and there was so much pressure, it shot the pipe up 3 feet out of the ground, 3 feet out of the ground. And so the maintenance guys, those are unexpected things that probably cost $10,000. And so, you know, there's all of those things, but as far as transparency, I want to be able to let people come to a school board meeting and stand up and speak and not worry about the policy where if 5 people are going to talk about the same thing, only one person gets to talk, and all the other 4 had to let those guys talk for them. Because any of the 3 of us that are on here, and even Michael, who's on here, you know, he don't want me to talk for him no more than I want you, David, to talk for me, and Robert, you don't want to talk for David. I think it's important that, as far as transparency, we need to let our taxpayers get up and speak, and even our students. I feel like, you know, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for the kids. And so if there's 15 kids that want to get up and talk about, the sky is falling at every school board meeting for 5 minutes, we owe it to those kids, because I'm on that school board because I want to represent the kids. And a policy says that it doesn't matter who you are. Hang on one second. A policy says that it doesn't matter who you are, that you only get 5 minutes if you're going to talk about the same things. That's asinine, and that's doing a disservice to our children who were wanting to grow up and be leaders. But here we are holding them back on the school board, and we're representing them.
That's right.
Well,
Where does the school? Go ahead, Rob.
Look, we set this whole podcast thing up to be a service.
Yes.
And I think Dave would agree with me on this. If you can't do this for a policy reason, Dave, we could host them here, could we not? I mean, we could bring. Could we do that?
I don't know. There's some rules to it about who. Sometimes those things have agreements and contracts. I don't know if they're doing any of that right now. I know the cities and stuff. Sometimes they replay their, council meetings and stuff. And so, but if we're allowed to, we'd be glad to put it on here. Absolutely. Where does the school board meet, Travis?
So,
and how many school board members are there?
So there's 5 school board members. There's 5 districts, right? So there's my district's District 3. District 1 is I'm not even going to try to attempt to tell you what area the districts are. There's 5 districts. They got redistricted 4 years ago, and the districts are based on population. So like, the only thing I know is Chattanooga Valley, which used to run up, or District 3, which is Chattanooga Valley, Flintstone. It used to run up all the way up to Fairland and all the way down the mountain, but due to population growth in Flintstone, Stanford Place subdivision, and just they've reworked the lines 4 years ago. And so District 3, it goes about halfway up Nickajack Road that goes up to the top of Lookout Mountain, and it runs all the way down to High Point at Pace's Grocery. And then it goes east. And so actually District 3, it actually goes from, let's just say Flintstone over here where I am at Chattanooga Valley Middle, and it goes east all the way. It jumps Rossville Middle. Rossville Middle's not in it, but it goes across Mission Ridge Road 2 streets and down that way, down towards Wallaceville. And so, but it's based solely on population. So as these populations get bigger, they'll realign and reassess and those kinds of things. And so up until 2 or 4 years ago is when they redrew the district. It hasn't been redrawn since 1968. So 1968 was a long time ago, and so So evidently it's they redraw about maybe once every 50 years. And that's good, because that means Walker County hasn't grown and got so populated and thick, if you will. So that's a good problem to have, to get redistricted every 50 years. But it's also, a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of building, like you said, going on throughout the county. It's really starting, so I think some of that will change. But I go up Nickajack all the time to go to my church, so I'm very familiar with that whole area. But so it's a pretty good size area, seems like. Did you say where y'all meet at? I don't know if I may have missed that.
Oh no, I did not. I got sidetracked when I was talking about whenever Rob asked about how many districts. Sorry, Rob. There are how many people? There's 5, and so we meet at the old Lafayette High School, right there next to Food City. They have the board meeting. Hang on one second. Sorry. Then they have a planning session once a month, and that's at the old Osborne Elementary, right off the bypass there.
Okay, I know you're talking about.
I think it's Osborne Road. I was thinking Wilder, but it's Osborne Road right there. That's where the new bus depot is. And so what they try to do is whenever they do awards for North End, South End, they try to keep the North End awards at the AECs, what that area is called, the old Osborne Elementary, and so that way everybody didn't have to travel down to Lafayette. And so then whenever they do awards for the South End, Saddle Ridge and below South, they do those awards or recognitions, I should say, student recognitions. They do those at the new central office right there at the old Lafayette High School. And so that's where they meet. They meet at those two places. The planning is done at the old Osborne School, and then the regular board meeting is done at the Lafayette, the new central office. And that new
Okay.
central office is amazing. My wife's bringing me a cough drop. She's tired of hearing me cough.
That's
Amen
fine.
for wives.
Tell her to bring you a cup of coffee too while she's at it. That might help you a little bit too.
I don't do coffee. 10 years at old night shift, I tried it, and I tried it with little sugar, and I tried it with half a cup of sugar, and still could never do coffee. I tried and tried and tried.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you this. You
Yes,
being
sir.
a man's man and everything else, when you eat biscuit and gravy, do you crumple your biscuit or you just put it in half?
Well, it just depends. If it's from Hardee's, I crumple it because I get it to go. But if I go say to Greg's or to Wanda's, I just get it in half and uh, cut it in half and go to it. So
Yeah.
I
So
guess there's contention between y'all two on that.
yeah, I've been trying to
Probably
tell
an
you for a
inside joke.
while. It's just women. It's just women crumple their biscuit. They
Oh,
put gravy
well,
on it.
there you go. That's right. I don't eat Hardee's very often, so there you are.
Okay. All right. Now, on a more serious note,
Yes, sir.
I tend to ask questions, and sometimes people don't like my questions. Sometimes they do. Uh, you're in a runoff. It's come down to you and this other person. I don't even know who the other person is. I'm not in Walker County. I don't keep up with
Sure.
it very much. But what are you bringing to the table that you feel like that this other person would not?
So I think again, I'm going to bring the transparency piece. I know we all talked. I've talked about transparency, but accountability is another thing. I mean, the only person I'm responsible for holding accountable is the superintendent, whether it be Mr. Raines or Miss Jones or whoever. Um, that's the only person that I'm truly going to hold accountable. So I've got things that I want to see Mr. Raines do in my this is my lean years years of doing lean deployment is I want to see a 30, 60, 90-day plan. I want to see that he meets those goals that I ask. And so Mr. The superintendent is the only person that I can truly hold accountable. Now, how he holds and how he responds to the questions that I ask, those things matter to me. I don't know. I'm sure, but I don't know how the school board even assesses Mr. Raines or the superintendent, I should say, job performance. I'd like to understand that, and is it one of those things where you see XYZ% of improvement across the board with the school system? When you think about it, each school is uniquely different, right? And so you got 15 schools, then you got the central office. So you got 15 departments, if you will, that you're trying to get data from to see where those things are. And so the other piece is the continuous improvement. I mean, we're doing continuous improvement every day in the industries we're in, and we're trying to understand everything that's going on in that industry and how we can cut costs. And so, we owe it to our stockholders and our everybody of it's some things are not worth cutting costs, but if we can save dollars or even pennies, those things add up. And so I just want to be sure that we're doing everything we can do to help everyone be successful. And my thing is I want to be sure that I'm holding the superintendent accountable for daily, weekly, monthly, those kinds of things. And it's the little things of is the dress code being followed? Well, if I go to a school and I see all these people that are out in dress code. It's like, well, who's manning the store here, boys? Because it's the little things that turn into the big things, right? I think we've all learned that in life. It's all about the little things.
That's awesome because when you say accountability, it's not just on the dress code stuff like that. You know, physical accountability is a huge thing as well, and you've already covered that. But I just, you know, I think being transparent and holding the people that need to be held accountable, that goes a long way.
Yeah,
You know,
and you know, and again, my last thing is growth, and you know, we want to see our kids grow. We want to see them. I mean, just you know, when you take a picture of a kid on the first day of school and you take a picture of the on a kid the last day of school, you see how much they've changed, right? They've grown, but we want to see them grow from an educational standpoint. We want to see them reading, you know, basically we want to see third graders reading on a sixth graders level, and we want to see, you know, each kid. They listen. We don't know what each kid goes through. You think about this. In Walker County schools, I don't know if you know this number. In Walker County schools, 80% of the kids are impoverished. That means 80% of the kids couldn't pay for their lunch if they had to every day. You
Yeah.
think about that. And then you turn around and you think about this. This is just my formula, and I do it because I use it because I'm not very smart. If you take 100 kids, how many of those 100 kids come from a two-parent home? Whether it's a good or a bad two-parent home, how many kids come from a two-parent home? I'm going to say 25, just for a number. And then you take another 25 that are being raised by their grandparents. So then you got 50
Right.
right there. Then you got 50 right there who are being raised by a single mom and dad, and that single mom and dad are doing all they can do to make ends meet, as well as those grandparents and that two-parented home. You've got problems in those three phases, those three situations. However, um, these kids are trying to figure it out themselves, and these families are trying to figure it out. And then you talk about impoverishment, and you know, you talk about not being able to pay the light bill, and the lights are going to get turned off. And some of these kids don't see their parents all week because whenever they go to school, their older brother's having to wake them up because the parents working night shift. You know, you think about that, they're working night shift, so they get home after the kids after their kids have gone to school, and then you turn around and whenever they get home from school, you may spend an hour with them before you got to go back to work, and so it's tough, and we're expecting our kids to unfortunately we're expecting our kids to do their homework by themselves. We're expecting them kids to feed themselves by themselves, and you know, there's a whole lot of being put on these kids in Walker County, Georgia. And so I think that we want to see, saying all that to say, we want to see these kids grow and prosper. And so we want to see them be better. I always use the word cycle breakers. I want to see all these kids become cycle breakers where they, you know, they're better. I want to see my three kids be better than me, right? I think that's my goal as a parent. Nothing, you know, I want to see them make more money than me. I want to see them appreciate things more than I appreciated as they were growing, as I was raising them. I want to see them just be successful all around. And so when I talk about growth, that's what I want to see with our students and our kids and I want to see them grow and enjoy and be prosperous. And the only way to be prosperous realistically is through education. And I'm not saying through education as far as, you know, the only way they're going to be smart is if they get educated, because we all know there's a bunch of millionaires out there that they were high school dropouts. And so,
Yeah.
but you know, being able to read and write, that carries you a long way. I
Sure.
mean, and so we want to see our kids uh,
well,
be able to read and write on grade level at an early age, because once they're behind at an early age, it's going to be hard for those kids to absolutely catch up if you think about it. Because a lot of and I'll say this, I'm a non-reader. I absolutely positively I'll do anything I can to keep from reading. I'll listen to a podcast, I'll listen to a book, but as far as sitting down and reading it, that's not me. I just reading isn't me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, everybody, especially in the digital age, everybody gets their information a different way, right? And so
Do.
a lot of these kids, they're this phone that's in my hand, and what I'm talking to you guys on, that's how they're getting their information and how they're reading it. But we still got to figure out a way to incorporate those things in order for them to be successful. So growth is important, and it's not just growth within the kids; it's growth within the teachers. The teachers want to grow, and we want those teachers to know that we appreciate them, and if they want to get a degree, well, by all means, we want them to grow as well, because they owe it to themselves and their families to do the most they can do for their family. Hang on. And so that's important too.
Travis,
Well,
So yeah,
I believe that Walker County, correct me if I'm wrong, I think all the schools qualify. The lunches are paid for this year. I think 5 in Catoosa and all the Walker County schools. Am I correct on that?
yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes,
So it is such a need, and it's sad to say that we do have kids if they don't eat at school, some of them are not eating. I mean, I know there's a lot of work going on out there behind the scenes to get food into these homes, but it's pretty bad. I mean, and if kids don't have food, how can how can you learn if your belly's,
that's right.
hungry? I mean, so it's important.
Mr. Rain started a program long before I was ever involved long before I was involved in the school board race, and he does backpack blessings, and it's through the YMCA. And so those guys, they pack about 8,000 lunches a week, I think, and they send them home with them on Fridays with kids. They send them home with students on Fridays, and so that may be their only meal from Friday after they leave school until they get back to school Monday morning. And
Wow.
so one of the things when y'all were talking about the Chattanooga Area Food Bank, that's where they get their food to pack these meals. And so Mr. Raines has actually spent, because there's such demand for food, and there's such demand because food is insecure in Walker County, and then also because of the cost, even from food from the food bank, has went up. And so he set aside part of his budget, I believe, is $20,000. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong after this runs, but he's actually running 447 miles, which is the total land mass of Walker County. He's running it between now and December 1st to raise money for the backpack blessings, because he's going to be out of money by Christmas. And so he's
Wow.
trying to raise additional.
We lost him for a minute, but yeah, he'll be back in a second, hopefully. But I had heard that, and it is when I went to the food bank, they did talk about a little bit.
There we go. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to say I did hear that at the food bank about them working and getting those little packs or whatever they are, and then getting them into the kids' hands. Some of them they just put in their backpack if they're elementary school. I think they just pack them in there. Sometimes they
Yes.
pick them up and they do like that. It's a big effort. It really is. I got to see that on one side of it, but you're right. Food costs have went up, and they're
Yes.
trying to maximize their dollars there to make up, because they buy in bulk at the food bank, and they're a part of another organization too. And so just trying to maximize those dollars. So it's really interesting to hear this from this side of it, because I know it's a big undertaking through all the counties.
Yeah, and I apologize. Somebody was trying to call me, and I was trying to decline it, and it went off. But anyway, yeah. So Mr. Raines is actually trying. Maybe it was $10,000 he had set aside. Anyway, whatever the number is, he's going to run through all the money by Christmas, and so he's running the land mass for Walker County, 447 miles between now and December 1st, and so he's trying to get more money, and because they pack those meals, I want to say every Thursday. I'm not certain on what day it is. I probably should know that, but And you know, that's the kind of thing that, you know, our kids need. And so, you know, one of the things I read a couple weeks ago, it says kids that are not loved at home come to school to be loved, and kids that are loved at home come to school to learn. And so, you
Mm.
know, you think of that. I mean, that hits and that hurts, right? And so
Yeah.
that's a major. And so, you know, it kind of makes you want to squeeze your kids a little tighter, and even with grown kids, and you know, make sure that it kind of makes you wonder if you did the right things. At least me as a parent, sometimes, because you know, if you're uh, yelling and screaming at your kids on their way to school, they're not going to. It's going to take them a little while to settle down, and those kinds of things. And fortunately, for me, I was fortunate enough that I only had to take my kids to school a couple of times, working night shift or working in the mornings. And so my wife, I got it when I went to work at in Ringo after the buyout. I was smart enough to be out the house by 6:15 because that's when my wife's alarm clock went off, and I was trying to be gone before the show started, right? And
What do you
so
say? Are you saying you were scared?
yes, I'm saying I was scared. Absolutely. I didn't
I
want to get
love it.
involved with any of that for no amount of money. So
I love it.
Well, I got a question slash comment to make here.
yes, sir.
So you're talking about seeing kids grow and stuff like that, and I know that the education end is why they're going to school. But with projects like this, with backpack lessons and stuff like that, uh, it seems like you actually are encouraging of maybe some morality. Dare I say it? Do we have a
Well,
school board member that's interested in kids learning some basic morals?
I think it's important, right? And so, you know,
Absolutely.
I think that, you know, just like us getting up and going to work early, you know, that's one of the things that I sure hope my boys, even my daughter, I think they all realize, like, I missed work Friday, being sick, and that's the first time I missed work unintentionally in a long time. And so, you know, they even my wife was like, I can't believe you didn't go to work. And it's like, and I was like, well, I really couldn't. But,
Right.
and, you know, I learned that, from Larry Gregory. You know, you come to work, even if you are sick, you just stay away from everybody.
Yeah.
We still got business to run, boys. And so,
Yeah.
so anyway, you know, you're right. It is morals, and you know, it is morality, and you know, we want them to be successful because let's face it, you know, none of us are getting any younger, and we're gonna expect them to step up and be the next generation of leaders. And so, you know, again, my
Mhm.
all three of my kids are learning trades, and you know, me and my son went to church yesterday, and the lights in the sanctuary, something was flickering with them, so they just turned them off, and they were using these the can lights. And so uh, instead of they just only use the can lights instead of like the chandeliers, and it's like, well, you know, this ain't bad. And so they were talking about they need to probably gonna have to try to find somebody to fix the lights. And my son looks at me and said, I believe we can do it. And talking about him and the guy that he works with. And I was like, sounds like a side job to me. So, you know, there's a little bit of uh, hustle, if you will, in my son, of wanting to make some side money, because let's face it, unless we're all based on the times today, and we've got to do something on the side to make some kind of money, because
Yeah.
unless we're working 80 hours a week, the way the economy is, and I'm digressing from what our original conversation was, but you know, the way the economy is, you've got to work more than 40 hours to make ends meet, unless you're just making $250,000 or $200,000, making a great living,
Right.
You know, you
because
make
it's
a great
tough.
point in talking about, and I was thinking about, and I know in Walker County, they're paying, you know, that's funded through a grant or whatever it is that these lunches are paid for. But I can't imagine the escalation of process for the cafeterias and how much more that's costing. I don't know how that's regulated, or, you know, how that's done, but you'd think the food prices have really jumped of what it costs to actually feed the kids at school.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, and so I work in the supply chain at work now, and so everything's about cost savings, right? And so one of the another unique piece is how are we just saying in the cafeteria, are we getting bulk pricing? Are we getting bulk pricing in the school system? Or I know this is something that doesn't amount to nothing, but I've been involved in the touchdown club at Ridgeland, and so one of the things that this is somebody's going to say, well, you're only talking sports. Well, this kind of is true, but so we've got 6 schools between the 2 high schools and the 4 middle schools that buy football helmets. So Ridgeland High School, let's just say, buys 10 helmets or a dozen helmets. And if you buy a dozen helmets, you get 3 free because they're so expensive. They're going to give you 3 free, wink, wink, because they're doing you a favor. But let's think about it. Let's look at it like this. If you take all 6 schools and you buy a dozen helmets, that's 72 helmets. How much cheaper will the helmets be if you buy 72 at a time versus 12, right?
Yeah.
And so where I'm going with that is, as I sure hope that the school has some kind of service contract with these people that are providing food for all of these schools, surely we've got a bulk buy discount. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
A bulk buy discount. So when you buy resin, all of these years, all them silos, when you buy resin and you do a bulk buy, if you're saving a half a cent on resin on a silo that holds 190,000 pounds of resin, and you got 30 of them like synthetic does, or however many they have, that's a significant number whenever you're talking about you're using 2 or 3 million pounds a day. That's a big number. That half cent that adds up, and then you add it up for a week. You add it up, for a month. You add it up for a year. That's a humongous number. So I sure hope that surely we have bulk buys in the school system, and we're getting the best discount we can get. So that kind of thing matters realistically.
Yeah.
Well,
And go ahead, Rob.
well, if they're not, you can ensure that they are, and
I'm gonna
keep those
follow up.
policies going.
That's exactly right. I'm gonna definitely follow up. And again, just like the football helmets, if you got 6 schools and you're buying 72 versus buying 12 for one school, because you gotta pay to have them painted. So it doesn't matter if you have 12 painted black, or if you have 12 painted orange, or if you have 12 painted blue, or 12 painted, whatever, you still gonna have to pay a painting fee regardless. But if you're buying 72, you ought to get a better deal
Hmm.
than if you buy 12.
Absolutely.
It's the little things, right? So you think about it. While that doesn't sound like a lot of money, say you save $10 a helmet, well, there's $720, and so on that 10% that you're trying to cut every penny that you can cut. So
Just
yeah, that
a
those things
couple
matter.
things. And then I know attendance, which is always a challenge, people missing school, and a lot of your funding, based on, you got to have good attendance. And so they're trying to get, the least amount of absences as they can. I know in Catoosa, I think it's always, they try to keep you below 6 absences for the year or something like that. And then they're trying to ask questions about that. But it's very difficult, to manage all this in today's time with these fundings and different things that happen with the schools. Another topic that is on everybody's mind now is school security, and extra
Absolutely.
money has had to be spent there. And I don't know about Walker. I know in Catoosa they've tried, and again, just staffing is the hard part. But having a resource officer at every school, for security, and there's many other things they did. And I don't want to get too specific because we're not supposed to talk about such things out openly like that. But I know that there's been a lot put into that. But that's another dynamic you have to think about with everything that's going on is the school security, and sometimes people don't understand that. But access to the school and just keeping the kids safe, as we've seen what's happened unfortunately at schools even in Georgia.
Yes, and so you're exactly right, and school security, we want our kids, that's priority. We want every kid in Walker County schools to be in a safe learning environment, a safe learning environment, and you can't put a price on safety, right?
Yeah.
However, we've got to you've got to do common sense. So Walker County, I do know this, that every door is locked. You can't enter but in one door at every school, and there's a camera there, and you have to be scanned, you have to be buzzed in. I wanted to say scanned in, but buzzed in, to get into the school. They have to look at you, and in like cases like mine, I have to show them my ID, my driver's license. And man, that picture on my driver's license, that's a face only a mother could love. Those are the worst pictures ever. I don't know. It's
Amen.
like that. It's like zombie apocalypse. And so, anyway. But safety is priority one. A safe uh, learning environment, and that really and truly that matters. And so, in Walker County schools, each school got $47,000, and it was for safety, right? So. Saying that, all the middle schools and all the high schools, they have their own SSR,
SRO.
yes, SRO. I was thinking SSRO. I don't know why that, but SRO. And hang on, boy. But yeah, so they have, each school got $47,000, and I'm sure part of that money went to make sure that I don't know what the money was spent on. I'm just saying my personal. I'm thinking that it went towards making sure all the doors were locked down, making sure that they had a school resource officer in place. What happened after, what dollars was left, I have no idea. I do know this. I do know that at the elementary schools, there is police, there is sheriff's deputies and or city city cops city police officers, sorry, that go in those schools. I know at Fairland, I've talked to their police chief at Lookout Mountain, Georgia side, and he says that they are right next door, and their their officers walk through that school at all times of the day, 2 or 3 times a day. They have their own scanners. They're able to walk in, and they're seen. North Lafayette is right around the corner from the Lafayette precinct, and several of the Lafayette police officers, their kids go to North Lafayette. And so when I was talking to their principal, she's told me the same thing, that they have police officers who walk, and there's police presence quite a bit of the time. But you can do everything right, just like they did in Winder, Georgia. And what happened, what I was told is, or what I saw was, it was a kid had set a backpack outside a door, and when the classes changed, he propped the door open, went and got the backpack, and came back into school. That school had metal detectors, but the metal detectors were at the main entrances, not at every single door. So, and they had those. I call them life alerts. They had those alerts on their badges where they could hit all the teachers, the faculty, where they could hit that alert saying they needed help, and that sped things up exponentially. And so I would like to see that, because again, a safe learning environment is paramount in Walker County.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, they got it for help. I've fallen. I can't get up. What's wrong for help?
That's right.
Help. We don't know what's going on. Get up here. That's
That's yes, and that those things matter. I mean, and I think we can all agree there's no amount of money being spent worth losing a life, a child's life. There's no amount of money, you can't put a price on that. I mean, just like we work in manufacturing, and there's no amount of money worth losing a teammate. And so, it's just those things. It's the little things that turn into big things, but security is paramount. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
yes.
I know it's hard. Just shifting gears just a little bit, it's hard to get people to turn back out for a runoff. The numbers do drop off, and so I don't know what the percentages turned out for this election. I know in Catoosa they were talking about 75% of the registered voters probably would have ended up turning out. I just haven't had a chance to get online and look, and I'm sure it was about the same for Walker County.
74.
74. Okay.
Yes.
But it thanks for telling me that. It
Yes.
really drops off. Now, how much, nobody knows. And of course, in that particular district, hopefully they will really turn out. But just the campaign of just getting the people to know that there's an election going on, signage, knocking on doors or whatever. I mean, it is difficult for all candidates on the runoff. I mean, you're fighting for a certain percentage of what voted before.
No, you're exactly right. I think that my number is 2,500 is what I think the max will be. Now, granted, I would love to see 5,000. I'd love to see 10,000. But realistically, it's going to take somebody. You think about it, it's going to take somebody longer to get out of their car, walk to the ladies or men that are the pollsters, if you will, and give them your driver's license, let them check you off. It's going to take longer to do those two things than it is for you to go in there and say Travis Middleton, and then print your ballot and then get back in your car. So it's going to, and you're exactly right. We're trying to spread the word. I'm fortunate. I got a pretty good folks that are supporting me, and so they're trying to spread the word as well. But we'll be 3 weeks out tomorrow. We're gonna obviously pick up the pace as the time gets closer, and we're gonna make phone calls, do social media, do text, those kinds of things to get them out there. In the 90s, that was always rock the vote, and so we want to get them. We want them to get out and rock the vote and pull us through. But I think you're exactly right. I feel like 2,500. I think 2,500 would probably be the max. And so, I've got to get 1,251, 50% plus one in order to get sworn in December.
I want to give you, it's really interesting. I mean, I posted out there for your opponent to come on, I think 2 or 3 times. We didn't hear anything back, but you had folks that supported you that said, call Travis, he'll come on. And here you are. I thank you for that. We weren't trying to leave anybody out. I just saw the Facebook post. I said, hey, come on. We'll help you, get your voice out there. And, but you're the one that stepped up. So I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate y'all. I mean, you guys, what your guys are doing for the community and those kinds of things, and letting my voice be heard, but not only my voice, but anybody and everybody that to let their voice be heard, because there's so much negative in the world, and what you guys are doing is such the power of positivity, and that those things matter. And so. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'll come on again. I'm not scared by no means. I'm not. Even though I do have a face for radio, I'll definitely come on, and we'll have another. I've been on this thing for an hour. You believe that? And so we'll have another conversation, and I don't mind doing it once a week. That's one thing that I can honestly say, as bad and as painful as it is, I don't. Now, I don't mind talking. Well, I don't mind being in front of a camera. It's still awkward, but I don't mind talking. I'll talk to anybody. And I think my wife tagged me in a post that you had made. And so, yeah, man, I'd forgotten about you today. I just got busy, and then there at 6:57 when you said you were going on at 7, I was like, I need to figure this thing out. But yeah, I would love to do it. Heck, I'd love to do it next week.
You know what's funny? You're welcome. Absolutely. Come on back and be with us. Robert, I know I'm speaking for both of us, but he'll concur. We leave these shows open for people to come in. And what's funny about this is actually I was sending the link to Robert, as that we have to do a few things to set up our live. And I was sending the link to Robert, and somehow it got on yours. I went, Oh, he's going to be. I think I'm sending this to him, and he needs to hurry up. I didn't want you to feel that way. That's why I said, "Hey, I sent this by mistake, but you're welcome to come in because we
No.
were already talking about coming on the show." But you, Rob, you got your link first.
Well,
That's all right.
I think it's great.
Hey, you were
and-
talking about
Yes.
having a face for radio.
yes,
That's
sir.
okay for you to come on this show like that. I'm the clickbait. Okay, that's my job. I'm the,
The
clickbait.
clickbait.
Don't worry
There you
about
go.
that. I got that covered. Is
Yes,
that right, Dave?
Yeah, you are, and I just to have a little fun. You know, a lot of times when we ask them to come on, they say, "Well, send me a link," and they're wanting to look at what we're about. You know, what are these guys about? You know, what kind of program have they got? And Rob, I was thinking about over the weekend. You know, here we're out in the battlefield looking for green eyes, and I thought he's going to see that video and think, "Oh, these guys, there's no way."
Well,
But we like to have fun, you know.
no, and here's what's crazy is so like my first I did my Roy Hambrick. He does a digital underground or underground. Y'all know Roy.
I've heard the name.
I'm trying to. He's out of Lafayette. I just
Yeah.
butchered what his website is, but anyway, I did his the first podcast I ever did, and so I'm sitting here at home Sunday. I'm laying on the couch. Excuse me, and I'm laying on the couch, and all day long I'm just like miserable because I'm thinking I got to be down there in Lafayette at 6 o'clock. I got to be down there at 6 o'clock. I'm just miserable, and I'm thinking about it the whole time, and so I get down there, and it's like. I'm thinking the whole way down there. I picked a buddy of mine up. He rode with me because I just needed somebody to go with me. I guess my wife wouldn't go because she don't love me like I thought she did, and so I was trying to even guilt her in. She's sitting here looking at me. I was trying to.
We
I was
caught
trying
that.
to get. Yeah, I was trying to guilt her into going with me, and she didn't want to go, and so I called a buddy of mine. You know, I said, "Hey, I need you to ride Lafayette with me," and he's like, "Yeah, okay, just pick me up." So I picked him up, and so anyway, you know, it wasn't bad. I'll say this: I never, on anything I've done, I've never like went back and watched myself like this video here. I won't go back and watch it. I'll share it to anybody and everybody, but I won't go back and watch it just because I don't like to hear myself talk. You know how it is. It's like when you page
Sure.
somebody on intercom, it's like that don't even sound like me, and then it's like, no, it sounds just like you, you know, and so that kind of thing, and so. You know, it's just I appreciate you guys having me, and I've learned a lot. And one of the things is my competitor. She's not, you know, she's been offered, and it's not a bad thing. Maybe she just don't like talking to folks, but you know, she hasn't done anything as far as interviews with Roy Hambrick or with the Times Free Press or with Judy O'Neill or any of those things. And so, you know, I'm not going to run from it because I'm putting myself in the public light, and it's uncomfortable. I mean, I think we can all agree. I'm sure y'all weren't comfortable whenever y'all first started, and so
Lord, no.
you know so being in the public light, and now I'm having to answer for anything and everything, not only for my district but for anybody and everybody across the county, because now. You know, I would be considered a public official. And so when somebody sees me at the grocery store and they don't like what's going on, they're probably going to light me up. And so, but you know, that's what I chose to do. And if they light me up, they just light me up, and that's just the way it is. And, you know, that's what I signed up for. Right. And so, you know, I didn't sign up because of the $50 a meeting. I can assure you that I signed up because I want to make positive change for our kids in Walker County. And that's what matters to me is the kids and the teachers and our community stakeholders and taxpayers. I mean, that's what matters. And I want to see positive change for our kids because, again, you know, my youngest kid's 19 and he's got a ways to go. And I want to see him be successful, just like I want to see every kid be as successful as they could possibly be. And you know, a lot of them, I want to see them be crap. I want to see them be changers. What's the word? I don't know.
Change agent, I think.
Change agent.
Change
Anyway,
for the better.
yeah, I want to see them change for the better and be better than us. I don't know why I just went blank, but I want to see them be better than us, right? Because they're at some point in time, this is going to be their community, and we want to see them make positive change in their communities. And it starts with one person. And to me, it starts with me. And I hope that my kids recognize that and see that and understand that. And I'm going to expect those three to to make change as well. Cycle breakers is the word I was looking for, boys.
Okay.
Cycle
There you go.
breakers. I want to see them
Yeah,
be cycle breakers
I like it.
and be better than us. And so,
Yeah.
Well,
I,
just as a
definitely.
thought for you guys and everybody listening. I mean, we're not young anymore, like you were alluding to earlier. Although I think Dave is the oldest. Uh,
I
uh,
am. Thank you.
they're going to be making decisions and leading the world after we're in nursing homes. They're going to be the ones running the nursing homes. We need them educated. We
Yes.
need so they can take care of us. You
That's
know,
right.
That's exactly right. And we've got to make it a positive presence with them so that they understand that they need to pick up the pieces for us as well. And so, that's the biggest thing is you think about it. These kids, that they're all the time. If we let them, if we allow them, they're all the time blaming somebody else. Well, we need them to quit worrying about the blame and get in there and help do the work. I mean,
right?
it's easy to point fingers, and that's just like, again, like I said in my initial conversation was, I was I was gonna I was gonna run for school board in 2 years. I may not have said that, but I was gonna run for school board in 2 years against whether I won or not, because you know sometimes it's just time to step up. And when I'm elected on the school board, I can quit stuttering. I'll be 50 years. I'm 50 years old, and so saying that, I'll be the youngest person on the school board. And that's not a knock on anybody else. It's just the truth. And we
Yeah.
need to get. I need to be the oldest person on the school board. We need the 30-year-olds involved in their communities and trying to get on this school board, because they're the ones who have the ideas. It's not me. Those are you think about it, that's a completely separate generation from me, because if those guys are 30, I'm old enough to be their dad, and so they've got better ideas than we have. I mean, surely, and so because they're looking at the world at 30 years old completely different than we are at 50 or whatever the number is, because they're not even thinking about, like I'm thinking about my 401k and how much money I'm losing, and they're not even thinking about they even need a 401k, for the most part. And so, yeah, we need to get this younger generation involved.
Yeah, Travis, I just want to say I watch a lot of political shows, podcasts across the state and other places, but I can tell you that in Georgia and in many, many counties, that I have seen so many people stepping up to run for school boards that's never ran for anything. And it's just it's people are coming out. They're, like you said, it's time to step up. And I just think good citizens are saying, I've got to get more involved. I've sat back. I've done a lot. I've worked hard. I did all these things, but now it's time for me to step up, because I've heard the same question being asked to these folks, and they come from all different backgrounds, and they've all said the same thing. I just feel it deep down inside that I'm supposed to step up and do something. And so it's definitely happening across the state. You can see that in these local elections. It's not the folks that's been running for years. It's some of those, but a lot of new folks, and that's good. That's a good thing, and I applaud you
Absolutely.
for that. And that just helps us get better for sure. And so we wish you well. You're welcome to come back every Monday to
Anytime.
the election. Absolutely, or any show that we have. You're welcome to pop in and give us updates on what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I truly appreciate you guys. And again, I'll definitely, I'm not gonna run from anybody, and and now's the time. And we're 3 weeks out from a runoff election, and so yeah, I mean, I'll keep preaching this same message of truth. I'm sorry, of transparency, accountability, and growth, and I'll be keep speaking the truth as long as I know it. And if you guys would ask me something that I didn't know the answer to, I just don't know the answer. But I'm not
Yeah,
going to make it up. I'm going to tell you the way it is, and that's the bigger thing. And I think that being transparent and speaking the truth is what matters, and that's what realistically, uh, that's what these people want to hear. They don't want to hear no smoke and mirrors. I mean, they can see right through it, just like the kids. They see right through that stuff, and it's so funny because I'm on school council at Rossville Middle School, and their principal, Dr. Stinson, which he needs to be, he needs to call in on this thing because he's such a good dude. But he'll tell you real quick. The kids at Rossville Middle are resilient, and they'll see right through your bull quicker than you can shake a stick at. And so they want to see the truth, and whether they want to hear it or not, they want to see it and they want to hear it. And that's what this generation, these kids, while they don't like discipline, they truly crave discipline, because then that makes those kids realize that they are expected, that they're being expected more of, right? And so there's higher expectations, and these kids, if they can get by with everything, they just think you're a punk at that point. But they really want somebody to. The kids crave discipline, and they want somebody to be hard on them, whether they want to admit it or not. They truly do.
Yeah.
And when
Because-
we were in school here in Georgia, we still had paddlers.
Hey,
They
man.
don't have that now. But how many times, and I know how many times David got paddled, was it once? I got plenty for me and him both. And but how many times did you go to your buddies afterwards and be laughing? Ooh, well, he got a hold of me that time. But you still respected him, and you knew he wasn't going to give you no junk, and you shouldn't give him junk. There's going to be consequences for your actions.
You're absolutely right. I can't think of I can't think of a grade level that I didn't get paddled in, to be honest with you. I mean, in elementary school, we had a coach. I didn't even know he was a coach. He was just Mr. Clendenin to me when I went to Happy Valley in elementary over in Rossville, and then come to find out as I gotten older, he was a coach and coached at Chattanooga Valley High School, and then he was at Gordon Lee. But man, he could swing a mean paddle. I'm talking about grab that back belt loop and tighten you up a little bit and bring it. I felt like he might have touched the ground with the paddle twice or something, and one of those things. And man,
Or get a running start.
Yes,
It's always
but,
those.
yes. Well, and you think about it. That's what made us. That's what made us get right, if you will. And so it took those kinds of things. But again, back to discipline. Kids crave discipline, whether they want to admit it or not. They ain't going to admit it to you that they want discipline. But that's one of the bigger things. You look at kids in school or kids in general. The biggest impact. Most kids, the person who had the biggest impact on their life outside of their parents is a teacher. And it's probably the teacher that was the hardest on them because that teacher expected more from them, and they didn't want to let them down. So they actually picked up the pace where you wouldn't have thought, that kid would have been what no teacher they wouldn't have thought that kid would have turned out the way he did. And, I can remember, real quick, and we've been at this for an hour and 20 minutes, but I can think of people like Jack Mayo, who was Coach Mayo, who, man, you talking about a guy who was impactful. And it's not that he was as impactful on me as a teenager, but I knew him my whole life, and then seeing him as a husband and a spouse when his wife got sick. I mean, that man right there, he never left his wife's side, and I don't know if you guys know Jack Mayo, but he's probably the most social. He retired and went to work down at Ace Hardware on Mission Ridge Road, and his wife got sick, and he quit that, and he never left her side till the day she passed away. And he just, I mean, that meant more to me than what I learned from him in economics, seeing what kind of husband and spouse he was. I mean, he was he's still around. I mean, he's 82 or 83 years old, but he never left his wife's side, and that's things you can't even put in perspective. Once she got sick, he never left her side for probably 15 years, and as a husband, those are the kind of people that you look up to and think, man, I don't know that I could do what he did, but I'm sure I could if that's what it took, right? And so, but that's the kind of person that I look up to because of that kind of thing, more so than being my football coach. And whenever I was in high school, now as I'm grown, so and then I think about I had a science teacher, Bill McBride, and he used to blow up stuff and make the halls smell terrible. But I'll never forget my senior year of high school. Real quick, is I got in some trouble for doing something stupid, and he called me out in the hall and he said, "Middleton," and I was like, "Yes, Mr. McBride," and he, I never forget it. He said, "You're going to be all right." I think it was like the last couple of weeks of my senior year, so you know how it is. You've already checked out.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
you're going," and this is the guy. I had him twice. I took the same class my freshman year and my senior year. And the reason I took it my senior year is because my girlfriend, who's now my wife, was in there. So I just needed a class to take. So I took that class. And
Yeah.
so anyway, he called me out in the hall and he's chewing my ear and he said, "Middleton, you're going to be all right." He said, "You'll probably be a mayor or something one day." And so I'm like thinking, and here I am running for school board. So like he's seen more in me than I've seen in myself. And I looked at him like, you've lost your mind, Mr. McBride,
Yeah.
is what I was thinking. Of course, I didn't say that, but I was just thinking that. And now here I am running for Harp County School Board. So,
That's great.
yeah,
That is
that's good
good.
stuff. So anyway, well,
I went to my principal. I come from Colquitt, Miller County. This is a very small area. I think we've got. I mean, it's small. It's rural. We've got one school now. All three of the schools are in one school: elementary, middle, and high. But when I was going to school, we had it. It was elementary, middle, and high still. But they came over to the high school in the 8th grade. So uh, the principal that we had, he was also a deacon at the church I went to. But to say that he knew me, yeah, he knew me. Yeah, I made it
Yeah.
all the way through high school. My senior year, get down toward the end, done eat up with senioritis, ready to call it quits and move on. And I had to stop by his office. He said, "What are you here for?" I said, "Need one to grow on.
Yeah.
It's your last chance, and I need one more."
did you get it?
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Think you missed that opportunity? No.
Yeah, it's crazy the impact that these teachers have on us. Even for me, 32 years later, 33 years
Yeah,
later.
it's been a while.
Yes. So
Yeah,
Well,
I
thanks
mean,
for being
it
on
was.
with us.
It
It's
was.
been a
yeah,
real blessing to our podcast, and
Yeah,
I hope a lot of your followers got to see it tonight. This will be out there, and please share it out. I know you will, and have all your
yeah,
folks share it so your message can get out. And yeah, come back and be with us, and we'll continue the discussion. I'm not trying to run you off. I just wanted you to know that
no,
you're probably tired of us.
no, not at all. But I do. I'm do have things that I have to get ready for because 9:30 bedtime comes quickly, and
Yes.
there
so
you go.
because 5 o'clock comes early.
Whew.
Well, as you gentlemen get older, it takes you longer to get wound down. You got to have your prune juice. And
That's right.
Dave
That's
has to
right.
change his depends. I mean, there's a lot of stuff y'all have
Bob,
to do to get ready.
Bob.
You know,
Well, we'll all be there, Dave. No big deal.
yeah,
That's right.
we'll all get there.
Yes, I appreciate you guys having me. And yeah,
You're welcome.
I never thought that I would. And it's not out of avoiding or anything. I just never thought I'd be on the podcast tonight. I was watching. I was watching TV, and I seen your message, Dave, which I appreciate, and I was like, well, crap, and so. Then I couldn't get my earbuds to cooperate, and now they're cooperating. And I've been sitting over here to the side, and uh, my wife's been on TV, or on the TV. She's been on the couch watching TV or trying to, and so now she's up and folding clothes because I won't quit talking so that she can watch TV. So
Well, we appreciate
Well,
her patience and for getting you the
yeah,
cough
yeah,
drop. And
yes,
come back and be with us. This has
I
been
will.
great. I mean, great
yeah,
discussion, and I hope people in Walker County will will listen to this and just ask in their heart who's best for this position. I think you've done well for yourself tonight. That's my opinion, and I won't speak for Robert, but I know how he feels as well. But we just love to hear Rob. He used the word we've used for months now, and that's transparency. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And we love to hear that. People say it, but I feel like you mean that, and you come across as being real and trustworthy in that. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I have no problem being transparent. And again, it's important. I mean, just like Michael was saying, he don't think he should pay school tax. Well, if he's paying school tax, he ought to know where it's going, right? And so, as part of transparency, we've got to let folks know where their money's going. And I'm not scared to again to take one for the team in Walmart if that's what it takes, and to let people know what's going on. And a lot of times, and this is kind of crazy, but a lot of times me and my wife will drive in separate cars because I'm gonna stay there a little later than she is. Whenever she's ready to go, and she's ready to go, and I'm gonna end up standing around talking and shooting the bull and those kinds of things. And once I get elected, I'm sure that anywhere we go, we'll have to take two cars because I'm gonna have to stand there and whether I want to or not, and state what's going on, and because it's important. We need to let those people know what's going on. And again, I think it's important that everyone I can spread the message as much as I can, positively or negatively, about what's going on, because even being negative, if it's the truth, let's just get it out there so you know what's going on.
Absolutely.
I mean, as painful as that is, and it's not always going to be sunshine and roses. We know that as adults and raising families and growing up and all those things. One day chicken, the next day feathers, right? And so, hey, I didn't even think about y'all's chicken fried podcast, but there you are. One day chicken, the next day feathers.
Chicken fried. It's not chicken fried. It's Southern fried.
Southern. Oh, sorry, Southern fried. My bad. Southern fried. Oh, sorry. Hey, one day Southern, the next day feathers, the next day fried. How about that? I don't know. Yeah, sorry.
One day it's baked and the next day it's fried. We don't like baked chicken. Hey, if you want to scroll back on our videos a little bit, there's an exercise you can do in there that will prepare you and help you be ready for when you run into these people at the store. What you do is, we'll get you a thing where you just log into Southern Fried Podcast and just go around and interview people at random.
There you go.
Walmart is the perfect place for this. Tell them you're looking for the chupacabra because you heard that they could be found in Walmarts. And just start randomly going around. I happen to know two people that did that last weekend.
Yeah, I can't believe I still can't believe I did it. Not too bad. Not too bad.
We got one lady that worked there. I said, "Have you seen a chupacabra here in Walmart?" She said, "No." "Have you looked for the chupacabra here at Walmart?" "No." "Then there's a chance."
I hear you.
But Travis, thank you for being on tonight. And I know I joke and cut up a lot, but transparency and fiscal responsibility and stuff like that means a lot to me and Dave.
Absolutely.
We've talked about this a lot. We have another lady that ran down here this year. Hopefully she's going to run again. She's really big on truth, transparency, and keeping things out in the open. And like you said, just put it out there. If it's not what somebody wants to hear, it still is what it is. Don't try to cover it up or bury it. Just put it out there.
That's right.
I mean, I like that. So hopefully you will be successful. That is the hope.
Absolutely. Yes. I appreciate it. And so I guess I'm going to leave you with this. If any of you Walker County voters that will turn out and vote Travis Q. Middleton on December 3rd, I greatly appreciate it. But more importantly, watch the podcast. So I'm going to post this out once you guys give me some direction as far as how to do it and when to do it. I guess I can do it off Facebook. I'm sure. But
Absolutely.
Sure. As soon
I
as soon as the
appreciate you.
program goes down, it'll post really quickly, automatically
Okay.
from StreamYard, and you can use it, forward it out from there, or copy
Sure.
it and paste the link into wherever you want to put it.
Yeah.
And we encourage everybody to do that. We just will get the information
Yeah.
out, and so push it far and wide.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Hey, I appreciate y'all too. And yeah, I'll call again next Monday. I'm gonna put it in my phone.
You
It's
got it.
7 o'clock, right? 7.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Hey,
Come
I
on
appreciate
back.
y'all's time.
If you want to, pop in here Friday night. It starts at 8, but that's Front Porch Talking, and we just talk about everything.
We
And that
do.
way people get to know you a little better too.
Yeah. Well, Friday night I will be probably at a high school football game. That's my only night that I can not have to be committed to anything, if you will. So that's me and a
Sure.
guy. I got a buddy of mine down in Calhoun. Me and him go to, now the playoffs have started. We always hook up and go to a playoff game every Friday night. And so yeah, that's sorry that I won't be able
No,
to
you're
call
good.
in, but that's
No,
what
you're
that's
fine.
what I'll be doing.
No.
And so
We need
Hey,
to
nothing
post the
watch
beats
the
schedule
phone.
again.
nothing
we
beats
have,
high school football.
Oh no, it's great. It's great.
So yes.
Yeah, we love high school football.
But for those that are listening, we do have at least 3 morning shows a week, sometimes more, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We do have our Monday night Mama Said, and Wednesday night is Hump Day News, we call it, and then Friday night is our Front Porch Talk, and we talk about whatever. There's also other shows, but those are all live shows we're talking about. So all you need is a link, and so just anything you choose. If you want to hit a different target audience, feel free to jump in any of them. We're always open to letting people jump in. So we appreciate it.
Hey, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys.
All
Thanks
right,
for
you
having me.
have a great evening for it, my friend, and you can just hit
Yes,
the X,
sir.
and X out, and we'll see you
Yes,
next
sir.
time.
Yes, sir. See y'all next week.
All
All right,
right,
Travis.
See
Bye-bye.
y'all.
that was great. A lot of
Yeah.
information, and we hope that everybody that was in the stream, we had a lot of folks in this. I think this might have had more people in this live than any live that we have done, counting all the different streams together. It's pretty amazing. So I think
Yes.
people, no matter where you live, they want the same things. You know, I mean, they want everything he says. That's what people want. I mean, that is what they want. And so I wish him well. I appreciate him coming on. And like I
But you know,
said,
the system as it sits is not made for that. It is not made for transparency. It's made for people to go behind these doors and they make
good
these
evening, Chip Bait.
decisions. And it just,
Well, you remember what Mitchell Horner said? Everything was going along fine until he started asking questions.
yeah.
Remember
When we
that?
start asking questions,
Then the door closed. they didn't want to talk about that. You know, he started.
No.
What was those questions about? Money,
Mhm.
money, and the same things we're talking about. You know, how can we maximize? How can we get the best things for the buck and all that stuff? And you know, just being transparent in that you know that we're going by what he said, but he said everything was good until then. So yeah,
He said when he started asking about money, he became the redheaded stepchild. Get out.
yeah, and absolutely. We go live. For those that listen and may not know, we go live on Facebook and YouTube, X, Rumble, Instagram for most of the show, and Kick, and even Twitch. So there's quite a few places out there that I'm not as familiar about Kick and Twitch, how that does, but all the others you can grab the link and share it out however you need to. So we just want to get that out there, and we're glad that Robert's back in his studio. I'm back in mine. We're going to hook up again in just 2 or 3 weeks. We're coming down your way, and maybe we'll get this thing worked out. We'll be in the same studio.
We gotta let Madison know as well, because we're gonna do a live special from the Whites Creek Bridge.
Oh, I cannot wait for that.
White.
I am absolutely stoked about that, because I'm telling you, she won't even drive down the road. She's scared of those stories, those ghost stories from that bridge and that church and creek and everything. What would be funny if we could just plant Cook out there, you know, with with a Jason mask on or something, and she would never go down that road for the rest of her born days if something like that happened.
No. I don't want to be responsible for that.
No,
'Cause we got to go by and see them.
no, we're gonna go by and see it.
Over at ARA. We got to go by and see them, and you know, we might go out to White Creek Bridge before we go out there, and somebody might. I'm sure Cook would tell you, would go up to her and tell her, say, "Hey, I didn't want to do that. Dave made me do it."
Well, you know, he will throw you under the bus. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Oh, that's
I mean,
awesome.
he will throw you under the bus. He did me like that one time. I hadn't. You never. I don't know where he's at tonight. You never know. He's probably spending time with his girlfriend. But I appreciate all of you that's been in here, and you know, for the good support for Travis. And you got to appreciate citizens stepping up. You know, I mean, he comes across very well. I mean,
Yes.
you know, he's knowledgeable. He cares. I mean, he's had kids in the school system. You know, you could just feel that off of him wanting to make a difference. And you know, and everything he says, I like the realism he uses. I mean, he just puts it out there. He shoots it straight, and that's what I want. You don't, you know, he says I'm not a politician, and I think people are. I don't mean this in a bad way, but ever since you go back probably really to the first run of Donald J. Trump. I mean, people have said we want something besides the normal politician. We just want somebody that says things different, because everybody gets tired of the catchphrases and everything. You know, they really do. You know, the same thing is said, and you start challenging some of those things, and you know, people, it can get ugly, but we got to do that. That's what keeps things honest. Is to ask questions, show up for meetings, and like he said, I don't like either how. I mean, I'm just going to speak specifically to the school board. School board meetings across the United States, in some areas, have been horrible. We've seen citizens drug out of these things.
Mhm.
They've been shut down. People, they say the wrong word. Some, you know, and it's not a bad word. They just start asking a question. They just shut them down. Then they tell the police officers to remove them. And I know that's
Yeah,
not in every school board meeting, but it's happened a lot across the United States. It's really sad what we've seen.
it is, and these parents are worried about their children. They
Yeah,
have legitimate concerns, and they won't even let them address it. So, hmm. So, I mean, how can you not let them address uh, what's going on at school? And it directly affects your children. And oh my God, Dave, do you see the number we're up to? Hey, we're glad everybody's enjoying the show
I
tonight.
do. We've never had this many, and we really appreciate it. And
Uh,
we thank you for coming in and being a part of the Southern Fried
yeah,
Podcast.
absolutely.
If you've been here before, or if it's your first time, thank you. And we are in Georgia, but we look into things all across the United States. We'll cover stories from anywhere.
Yeah,
We're two citizens that want to get on and give our 2 cents. It's probably not worth 2 cents anymore, but with inflation. But we want to give our 2 cents and then get everybody else's opinion, and get on these people and give them a voice.
yeah,
One of the things that's happened in our nation is, because we complain about the media, and we should, because of things we've seen. It's these type of podcasts all across the land. There's thousands of them, maybe hundreds of thousands. I don't care how many
yeah,
there are. They're helping to get the stories out, and that's why some have tried to shut down the internet and control it more, because they don't like these type of shows, because you put people on and just let them talk. They try to control the narrative in a lot of these interviews, and limit what they can say, and keep them on. If they don't like what they say, they take them off the air. We put people on and say, keep it clean, but tell your story. I mean, we're family
yeah,
friendly. Tell your story. We want your story to get out. That's what we say.
yeah. And share it far and wide. I mean, that's the thing. We can share it so far, but I mean, your people are on your lines and stuff like that. You've got their information. Share it. We don't care.
Yeah.
We want to push it out as far as you want it to go.
I told you, and I won't mention the stream. One of the streams struck one of my post that I put up about, I appealed it, and we won that appeal, Rob. They went
All
back
right.
and they sent me a note, and they said, we restored it. It was a mistake. So that's bots and stuff doing that. That's just the software taking over. It was. And I told you, there was nothing wrong in that post. And
No.
other than the word conservative and Christian. I mean, I thought, really, is that where we're at? But they
Yeah.
restored the post and apologized and said it was a mistake and we've restored your post. But it is a problem. I mean, you can't. Sometimes they'll just shut you
Yeah.
down. And
Yeah.
I think folks like Elon Musk are going to make a huge difference in this moving forward, and others like him. And that's why those that control the narrative. That's why they're a threat to them because they can't control him. They can't control people like that. And I think it's great because again, just getting information out, let people decide what they feel about something. We got all these fact checkers and everything. That's fine. You need to check out these things. But when you just shut down somebody and you say you're not going to speak, then you're not even given a chance for debate. You know?
No, you're not. You're just shutting them down. And you're basically telling them we don't care what your opinion is.
Exactly.
The Democrats have done that for a long time leading up to this last election. You see how well that worked out. People don't like it.
No. And I
No.
think the podcasters now, and we're small compared to some that are out there. You always start somewhere. We're starting where we are. That's what you do. But some of these podcasters have really got a tremendous following. And honestly, what they're doing is they're changing the game in across the world, but especially the United States. They're changing the game about how people get access to the people. And it has
Yes.
forced some of these networks have horrible ratings. Nobody watches them anymore. It's amazing to me they haven't went out of business, to be honest, because people have lost trust in their news organizations, and they don't like listening to them. And so they're going to other sources inside and outside the country. And so podcasters are, a place where people have came to get that story. So I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm glad to be a small part, but I'm glad to be a part.
Absolutely. And John, I'm going to say this much. I know you're trying to get a rise out of us here. As far as I'm concerned, that is a lie. Dave and I are both conservatives, and we don't censor anybody saying anything. We'll call you out. If we don't agree, we'll call you out, but we're not going to shut you down.
No,
We'll let you.
the only thing we've ever said is we're not going to allow attacks on other people, and we ask people to keep the language clean, and we try not to have anybody smoking or anything like that. We just want to keep it family friendly. We have young children, teenagers that come into this, including my granddaughter who comes into the stream sometimes, and I want her to be able to learn how to listen to information, and because she's starting to pay attention to some of this stuff now. And I want her to have, be able to go get that information. And there has to be places that are safe spaces for that. But we don't shut anybody down on, whatever Travis's opinions are, those are his. And we're not here to question that. We just want to question about, what do you want to do? And what is your plan? I think that anybody running for anything, what is your plan? Well, how can you make it better? What do you offer? I think those are the questions, and if we know of problems, then we can say, what would you do, at least for yourself, to challenge or to change this situation? But we don't shut anybody down.
No, and that's your opinion, and you're entirely entitled to it. It belongs to you, and we will respect your opinion. We may not agree with it, but this is America, and you're entitled to your opinion.
That's true, Chick Bait. We do disagree a lot. But we are friends, and we love and respect each other. And you know what? You have your opinions, I have mine. Sometimes we agree totally, sometimes a little bit, sometimes not at all. That's America, baby.
But one thing we can all agree on: who's the clickbait?
John, you're trying real hard to get a quick boot out of this podcast, but it's okay. I could take that, but you know what? You're starting to get them when you start hammering people that are in here. I mean, come on, really? We know what you're doing. It's okay though. I'm proud of my skin. I'm proud of who I am.
Yeah. Well.
Oh man. But yeah, you know what? And I again, like I said, it was really neat how that happened. I went to send the invite to you, and I forgot I had his book. So I was talking to him too, and I thought, why is Rob not in here yet? I know you were waiting. I was getting in a little bit late. Now, and I heard it, and I looked back and I went, Oh man, I sent that to Travis. Then I didn't want him to think I was putting him on the spot, you know. And I'm like, hey, you're welcome to come in, but we have other shows. And he said, I'm coming in. I'm like, okay. That's
Okay,
when I
come
told
on
you we may have a visitor, you know. So that's why I was in the beginning. I was trying to work with him to help him know how this works, you know, because some podcasters they do have a studio, and technically we do. I mean, we're sitting in a studio, but you can come in from anywhere. We just, you know, you don't have to go
in.
to a location. You could be sitting on the beach and come in to this
Yeah,
podcast, you
yes,
know, wherever you're at, as long as you get Wi-Fi.
we've done it. Uh, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna bring this back up. I'm gonna work on getting this interview set up tomorrow. I met
Okay,
Dr. Robert
you're
Elliott.
cool, John. That's just to be careful. You know, we
Uh,
don't want to hammer anybody. Citizen soldier.
yes, met the author yesterday, and I am really looking forward to reading the book. I have not got a chance to start it because I've been recuperating from the trip. Veteran, uh, you know, he was in the reserves, went to Iraq, uh, served on active duty, and I mean, uh, it is a very good book from what I have heard. It's Citizen Soldier, and I'm going to read the tagline here is from the land of Lincoln to Iraq, rock and back.
Yeah,
That is a
I have.
Humvee there that's flipped. It's been exploded IED. So,
I
you know,
think I actually heard a little clip from him on something because I sort of put that down as a book I wanted to read among the many that I'm trying to read. I want to get through and read, but um, yeah, Happy Veterans Day, Lewis. Absolutely.
yeah, thank you. Um, and to all the veterans out there, happy Veterans Day. Hope y'all had a good one. But he also has, you mentioned four other vets that are authors that we're going to try to get on as well. Hopefully, all at the same time. I think that would just be awesome just to have a big group of
True,
veteran
John.
authors on here talking about it.
True, John.
Oh man,
Let's support that.
so I think
Yeah.
that would be
Well,
awesome.
and we, you know, we have through Evans Publishing. There's some. We're fixing to
Yes,
have a lot of military folks. And some are authors, and many are authors, and some are war stories or different. Some things are sci-fi, but we're excited about that, you know, because we love our veterans. And by the
absolutely.
way, don't forget the Keeper movie is out on you know, Amazon Prime.
Yes,
Please go rent that or buy it. Watch that. The Keeper movie of George Eshelman are doing a lot of videos right now, but that released 3 days ago. And please watch that movie. You won't be sorry. I promise you. It's a great movie.
and also let's talk about the new stream that you set up the other day for veterans. Which one? What
Well, it's
was?
Reddit, and I had never really done anything with Reddit. And on a hoot, I kind of did that. And on Reddit, you can send it to different channels. And I actually posted something a video that we did when we were standing in front of that memorial. I posted that into one of their sites. It got a lot of attention. They have since pulled it down because in that particular site they don't want you to mention anything about organizations or they feel like you're selling something, I guess. But it's a veteran, I mean, thing. That's all I was doing. But I don't want to mention the name. I'm not trying to cause them problems, but I thought that's okay. That really I'd already got out there, but I looked today. They have pulled it down. They there's no. I didn't have a way to edit that at the moment. I just left it. I said whatever. Well, however long it stays up, it stays up. And so they pulled it. But we started one called Veteran Suicide 22. The 22 obviously being the lowball number of how many veterans a day commit suicide. So Veterans Suicide 22 on Reddit, and we're going to be posting there, and we already have. We're putting up some of our veterans remembrances and stuff there, and we'll also have things about suicide resources for those suffering from PTSD.
Yes,
And you don't have to be a veteran; it could be anybody. But we felt strongly about this for months, and you've been
yes.
speaking at Legion halls and stuff, and I'm glad to have this. We have our own
Well,
channel there, and we're going to post to it and see if we can impact some folks.
uh, well, I spoke with George Isherman, and he said he'd be happy to be a part of it. So you'll
Um,
be. I'm sure he'll post up there, and we'll get him the information and put that out there because this is important, and especially on days like today. This is for Veterans Day. A lot of times for the vets, it's a hard day.
yes, it
We
is.
remember a lot.
Well,
So
Sunday was what, the 249th, I believe it was, birthday of the United States Marine Corps.
249 or 250?
350. I can't remember. It might have been. You'll have to look it up. But anyway, happy birthday to them. Hoorah! You know.
Yes. Hoorah. I'll do it once. Uh,
But I always like, and I've told you the story. I won't go through the story, but in a unit on a Navy base where a guy was an ex-Marine that was leading our column to chow one morning, very early in the morning, and he started doing the Marine cadence. I'll never forget all the lights going on in these high-rise buildings where people were staying, and people were leaning out the window and hollering, "Who's the Marine?" You know. So
uh,
we loved it. It was funny, but
uh,
then we had to go quiet in the dark. You know.
249. 249. It'll be 250 next year.
I guess that would be me, John. I guess I'm just a fool.
Mm,
That's that's not what the scripture said, though.
that's right.
The
So,
scripture said, I'll just leave it alone. But anyway, I guess that's fine.
and just to throw this out there, just so you guys can appreciate it, this is one of my dad was a Marine as well, and I was a Marine. He was a Marine, so I was in the Navy. But I got to put this out there. My dad was one of these cantankerous old vets anyway, and we would all get out there and go to breakfast like at the Waffle House or something. They'd have this big group of vets sitting around giving each other a hard time. And the best one I ever saw him pull, one of them hollered out, "Well, you wasn't nothing but old jarhead." He said, "What branch were you in?" He said, "I was in the Army." And Dad said, "You know what Army stands for?" He said, "What?" "Aren't real Marines yet." And that guy went, "Uh-huh." And Dad said, "No, shut up."
There's always that competition between the services. You know, I know that the Marines will always give the Navy a hard time. Yeah, we appreciate you Swabbies for giving us a ride across the ocean. You know, and stuff like that. You know,
I used
uh,
to tell them. I used to tell them. But, the only reason why we let y'all on board the ship is that we got to have somebody to follow on dance because we're leading.
I love it.
or my personal favorite for the Marines. You know what sound crap makes when it hits a fan? Marine. Uh, but you gotta love them. You gotta love them. So, uh, oh. Well, it does me too. Chick bait. It does me too. But that's okay. You should go through and study it and look through and find the different elements of it that speaks to you. Uh, so there's nothing wrong with that. If people want to nitpick it, let them nitpick. So, all right, well, brother, it's oh, we've been on for 2 hours.
We have.
Uh, hey, chick bait. So we're not having the conversation in the chats. If you want, we will have you on and we will have a discussion about the Second Amendment and the carrying of weapons and the infringement upon that. Giovanni, yeah, you're in a little bit late.
You can always
We
watch the
go.
replay.
That's right. You can go back and watch. Uh, so, all right. Well, it's a great
Hey,
crowd
next
tonight.
week when we have him in, we got to find out what the Q stood for. We forgot to ask.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
question for next week.
that's right. What does the Q stand for? What do you think it stands for?
Oh, I'm not even going to venture to guess. You know what I think of when I hear it? Because I'm an old Trekkie, I think of Q on Star Trek. So
I'm going to throw out either it's Quincy. I'm gonna go with Quincy.
you're going with Quincy. Okay.
I'm just gonna go that. And do you want any more, Giovanni? So,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
we tried.
unfortunately.
We really tried.
So, So anyway, y'all have a great, wonderful night. Like, follow, subscribe. Big salute.
Remember those folks real quick, Rob, and when we come down there, we're going to, one last thing, we're going to do a special show about Stop the Monkey Farm. Those things
Yes.
are heating up out there. I guess the 43 monkeys are still loose in South Carolina. Haven't heard that they've been captured. And boy, they're having sometimes this week, isn't it, Rob? The bonfire down there to burn those flyers that were sent out to the residents of Bainbridge about this thing. I mean, this thing is really picking up steam again, and not that it ever died down, but it's really gotten out there. It's heating up, as they say, no pun intended. I'm hoping when we get down there, Rob, we can meet with someone near on site as close as we can get to that and do a short
aim for it.
show.
I'm gonna aim for it, and we will see if we can throw some gas on that fire.
When I know the dates for sure, I'll let you know.
Okay, and I'll see what I can do to get that facilitated, and maybe we can all just have a big gathering right outside where they're going to put it. I mean, just maybe a prayer session or something. That'd be awesome.
It'd be awesome.
So, all right. Well, like, follow, subscribe. We didn't even run a commercial tonight, Dave. I hadn't even had a chance to go get me no coffee. That's bad.
It's a good show. That's a good kind of show when you've done that.
So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna throw up our QR codes and the thing with Mammoth Nation and Debbie as before we close out officially. So everybody, good night. Love y'all. Dave, see you in the morning. Or no, maybe we'll get with you tomorrow night. All right.
You got it.
All righty. Y'all be good. And I'm gonna throw this stuff.
What do they say? Like, share, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. So we appreciate the support.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast.